Being human. Do you ever wonder what makes us who we are? Our habits, preferences, or where we came from? We are expressing ourselves in thousands of ways every day through our choices. Let's have a conversation with people who are having interesting lives. My name is Alun Walker. I'm a doctor of chiropractic and a human being.
Brilliant. So welcome to a new Being Human and Chiropractic Revolution podcast. What we've got with us today, two very, very special friends of mine. We've got Francis and Laurie Coburn. I've recently been on one of their courses, which was absolutely amazing. And they're here today to talk about their courses and about what they're doing with them in the future. So if it's okay with you, Donna, we'll just get straight into this today. Do you mind talking to me about one of the courses that you have been running that I've been on several times and I've thoroughly enjoyed it, but brain-based chiropractic?
Can you imagine that every single human on this planet is adapting to some stress all the time? And if you think you're not, you're fighting against gravity. And we're all aging. And those are just two that we can think of. I got up early today. I drove to work. I dealt with 19 clients' problems, adjusted them, left, and I'm talking on a podcast. These are all things that I'm adapting to. If we understand that role, of adaptation, what's actually going to change in our body is relatively predictable. And if we can understand that it's relatively predictable, we know where the body's going as it adapts to stress. We can adjust it back to what chiropractors call a state of ease in a relatively predictable fashion. And where most of us fall down as chiropractors is we don't own our certainty and we don't own our principle and we don't own the ideas and back them. And therefore we underpromise and underdeliver, meaning without that certainty, we don't communicate it properly and we don't deliver the amount of care that's actually required to change people's lives. And that's where Laurie and I came up with the idea of our Luminate success formula. Why could the pair of us in rural Scotland run an enormously successful practice where today I did not discuss the frequency of care with one patient, not even one, because I have a team around me. And if we can do it in the middle of nowhere, then anybody can do it. And I'm a thick Zimbabwean and Laurie's from Hoyk, so that should tell you an awful lot.
How many people do you have that live in what's the population in the area?
So we came up with Galashiels is 13,000. That's the main town. And then this morning I had a patient who drove, or a client who drove from Bathgate, that's 2 hours. And I had another one who drove from North Berwick, that's about 75 minutes. So we feed a large area. And luckily over time our reputation has grown. So we managed to pull people in from a bigger area. But that aside, the size of the population, and it's a very working class area. 66% of our entire county, the Scottish Borders, is employed by the government, either directly or indirectly. So it's not a hell of a, people think you need to go where the money is. You don't. You just need to go where the people are and communicate value. And some of our greatest clients are on benefits or pensions or whatever. It doesn't matter as long as you communicate the value.
I still don't. How? If someone's going to set up, for example, in a small town of 13,000 population today, and there were the first chiropractors there, it's such a small population of people. I mean, I have a clinic in Daventry and I have one in Rugby. The clinic in Daventry is a population of 45,000 and the clinic in Rugby has a population of 115,000. And both my clinics are actually running very nicely and they're very busy. But there are other chiropractors working within the area as well. But with you're sitting there with just the 13,000 and you've built a very, 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 very busy business within that area. What's the secret to that?
You hire people like her. Okay, listen. One of the things about small communities is good news travels fast and bad news travels fast, and that can serve you in both directions, if that makes sense. How many patients do you think I've got active patients? 600, 700?
Closer to 700, I would say.
Yeah, okay. So I see 140-ish patients a week. I only work 2 days. Listen, chiropractors can get really narky about numbers, but that only means that I need to have 700 people on my books that are active, and that's not that big a deal. We're probably pulling in from an area similar to Daventry, 45,000. By the time, and a lot of our clients drive upwards of an hour each way for an adjustment, and you could, if you want to unpick it, if it's an hour each way, that's a 2 hour, 5 minute problem for them. If that makes sense, so we've got to talk about value.
I also think, though, the secret is it's a combination of things. Obviously, it's to do with the quality of chiropractic that you're providing within your business. But actually, I think that our strongest suit that really sets us apart from anywhere else is that we have a really, really beautiful culture within our practice. We have a gorgeous team. And make up a really amazing experience for anybody that comes into our practice. And that travels just as fast. I went to the dentist yesterday and it was miserable. And I mean, as if going to the dentist isn't miserable enough, but you're sitting looking at two girls sitting on the desk with their coats on and nobody's talking to anybody. And it's a really horrible environment to sit in. Whereas when you come into our clinic, it's really vibrant. Everybody, all of our CAs know exactly who everybody is, and you can have a proper conversation with every person. Every patient comes into our clinic and it doesn't feel like they're in a clinic. It feels like they're in a community. And I think being in a small rural area, stuff like that really, really soars, because that's what people are looking for, isn't it? It's not just about the chiropractic, however a lot of people think it is. And it's not about technique and numbers and everything. It's about what you actually create, because that radiates out of your practice, doesn't it? And I think that's why we are very well loved in our community.
Ellen, I'm just going to dovetail on the back of Laurie there. I've been in practice 16 years now, and I've had 10 associates, and they come and they go because they start their own practices or whatever. But I'm telling you right now that if a lightning bolt struck my practice, which is sitting about 200 meters over there, and leveled it to the ground, nothing left. But I had my mobile phone and this computer we're talking to, and as long as the ladies who our front desk team were all right, we would be open tomorrow. They're that good. You know what I mean? We would move into a village hall somewhere. We would use portable tables. We would use chairs. And we'd be open tomorrow. Take everything you want away from me. Just don't take my front desk team. Laurie spent years crafting this gorgeous culture we have. And, if you were to walk in the door of our clinic, the door is facing the reception desk. The first thing they say is, "Hi, Margaret." They've got the name. The Margaret knows she's in the right place. I haven't been to my GP since I had my vasectomy about 12 years ago, but that's a lot of oversharing there. I hope your listeners won't mind. But anyway, I remember when arriving at the front desk and it was like, yes, you're coming to steal from the National Health Service here. We're in private healthcare. We've got to provide connection. We've got to provide a safe space. We've got to provide a friendly space. And you actually don't need that big of a client base to have a really successful practice, as long as you build a community. So, somebody might see me for 4, 5, 6 minutes, half an hour on a consultation or whatever. And please don't judge me, whoever's listening. But Laurie and the other people who work on our front desk, a really nice retired lady, gentleman could actually make their chiropractic appointment last about 45 minutes by the time they've talked to people in the reception and they've talked to the front desk and been to the loo and done all that sort of thing, because it's such an event in their day. And that's, whilst the chiropractic is changing their body, the visit to the chiropractor is changing their lives.
With your courses that you're running at the moment, who are ideally your, if you like, the avatar of our clients? We have the avatar, don't we, that you teach? Who would be the ideal person that would be coming in as a client into your clinic? Who would be the avatar ideally for the people, the chiropractors doing your courses at the moment, coming to Luminate? Who are those people?
Okay. Let me go first with our sort of the technique seminar that started our business, and that's called brain-based chiropractic. And I would call that a thinking person's chiropractic. Actually, once you know it, you don't have to think. I really don't think anymore when I'm adjusting. It's like somebody who knows how to play the piano. They don't think anymore. Their fingers just work. But when I say a thinking person's chiropractic, you just have to understand a few fundamentals about the body and adjust with a massive degree of presence and certainty, and you are going to change people's lives. There is no doubt about it. Last year, we had a client flying from Kansas. We have a couple of guys who fly in from Ireland, football players or Gaelic football players. We've got people who will travel for what we do, and it's really simple, actually. We like to make it really difficult. But once we'd been doing this a little bit, we started to unpick between us, why were we really doing quite well? And yet, actually, we're in an area with a small population, quite a lot of chiropractors too, and some of them aren't doing well. And we've had associates, same practice, same building, same technique, same table, same front desk, same patient population, and they barely make the month end, and they damage your blooming reputation on the way through. So we pulled this together, and we spent 2 years really coming up with what we spoke to you about 2 weeks ago. And Laurie came up with this massive formula, this magnificent formula a couple of weeks ago. It's so simple. And right at the beginning of that was mindset. What you think about, how you think, what delivers that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in terms of your question, Alan, when we created Luminate, we went through, Luminate was born on 2 sunbeds over a bottle of gin at Cairo Europe 2 years ago, just brainstorming, and obviously we had to put some processes into place in order for it to kind of grow into what it has. And we had to create our avatars. Who did we want to attract into our space, and who did we think that we could help? And we actually had a conversation. It was was it this week? And we were talking about who we really wanted to attract. And we thought, right, we want these established practice owners that we can just do some help with. But what we actually found was that we have one avatar, which is our new grads or our first year, like these young people that are coming out of colleges and are absolutely terrified to adjust. They've not been taught the right kind of philosophy. And these are going to be the future of chiropractic. And actually, some of our best clients are these youngsters that are just really keen to have their brains filled up with everything and want to learn more and want to excel. And I think that when we think about what impact we want to have as Luminate, that's actually super, super important, because it's molding what the future of the profession is going to be. And it really, really excites me when we get to work with youngsters, because they're just young and hungry and want to take on everything that you give them.
So we've got this guy, I won't use his name just to protect him, but he is just about to finish his 7th week in practice, Alan. He just moved onto his own 7 weeks ago. And between Laurie and I, we've helped him quite a lot. Laurie very much recently in hiring his first CA team, and us with both of us getting his mindset right. He saw 109 visits this week on his 7th week in practice. Now, isn't that great?
That's amazing.
Because what you've got is a really young, hungry person. Yes, he's probably hungry for success, but knowing who he is, he's actually really hungry to create service. He really is hungry to make a big difference in his community. And he's actually humble enough also to realize that he's hung his shingle above his door in a place that he wants to spend the rest of his life, and he's only 28, right? He's got to box clever. He can't use sleazy sales techniques or any of these things because he's going to get found out. He's not only got to give very good chiropractic, I have to say he does use a lot of our technique stuff, but he's really thought about his practice. And right at the front end of our Luminate success formula, which I'm going to give you credit for, by the way, is mindset and what you think about. And Alun, you know that I was in the army before I was a chiropractor. And in 2004, I was patrolling in Basra in South Iraq and in Baghdad. But when I graduated from chiropractic chiropractic college, and I went to Palma, the day I asked somebody for money for the service I had given them, I was terrified. And in order to make sure he had loads of value, I did every single thing I could do to him over the longest possible time. You know, I didn't value the chiropractic adjustment as what I do now. What I valued was the time, the chat, doing just about everything and trying to heal him in 1 or 2 visits if I could. That's a mindset problem. That's a values problem. And I will bet you, as a fellow chiropractor, but a UK grad, particularly, I graduated from Palma. Jesus, we were chiropractic on steroids. But I still didn't value it. And a lot of people have got to get over that hurdle of value and understanding. And, to put that value into the chiropractic so that they know they're changing somebody's life every single time. And then around them coalesce a team that supports them. And, Laurie and I have been working together for 5.5 years now. I've been in chiropractic for 20 years, including my degree in America. I've been in private practice in Scotland for 16 and a half. But the greatest period of my growth was in the last 5 years. No, not just because of Laurie. She just had, I think, partly coincidental that she was on the journey at the same time.
Coincidence for me, really.
But we're always evolving, aren't we, as human beings? And our colleges do a pretty good job of telling us where the muscles, ligaments, tendons, nerves, and things are, and a little bit of a good job of telling us how to assess and adjust them. But they don't really teach us about the value of what we're doing. They don't teach us how to communicate that. They don't teach us how to sell that. They don't teach us the packing that is so fundamental. They're basically a little bit like your driving instructor. They teach you how to pass that test. And the day you pass that test, you're the most dangerous lunatic in the asylum. The rest of it comes afterwards. And that's where we are trying to provide the Luminate Academy to help people bridge that massive gap between student clinic and being very successful. And listen, this guy we were talking about today, 7th week of practice, massively successful, was messaging us this week just saying how full of doubt he was. And yet he's just probably at 109 patient visits in his 7th week of practice. He's probably in the top 8 or 9% of the UK chiropractors, within 7 weeks. It's extraordinary. And yet he was full of doubt. But as his coaches, we were there to he's such a good guy. We were there just to hold his hand and tell him he's all right. He's doing a good job.
He's doing a good job because he's had some amazing training. And he's got the support from both of you, so it's not really a surprise. But it is interesting that no matter how successful we are, how successful we become, how we have those niggling doubts, those monkeys running wild a little bit in the back of our mind about, Am I really doing as well as I think? Could I be doing so much better? Could I be getting more support? And I get the same thing myself. But I mean, I'm also looking to join with you guys, and the next course that you're running, I'm very interested in being on with all of my. I've already done it once, but I want to do it again. But this time, bring more of my staff to it. When is that next course? Before I don't now get a quick mention of it now and one at the end.
It's going to be after the summer, I'm afraid.
It'll be after the summer now.
It's likely to be later on into. It'll be after the summer because somebody's going to be busy.
She's getting married.
Somebody's getting married. Well done. Congratulations on that. Okay, so we are.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we are looking.
We've got 4 days. We're looking for probably early autumn, late summer. That one we did with you was the first time we've done it, and we were very happy with it. I think all the feedback we've had has been so positive. That was our life's work, wasn't it, really? Mm-hmm. But, we talk about this chap who's done so well. Let's ask ourselves a question. In every doctor-patient relationship, who does the healing, the doctor or the patient? It's the patient.
Patient.
Yeah, it's the patient. This guy did all the work himself. We were just there like a chiropractor to remove the interference. That's all we did, really. I took on my first coach about 1.5 years into practice. And my only regret is that I didn't do what this guy did and take on a coach 6 months before I started. Because I would have hit the ground running like he has. But the guy who got me to actually sign up with a coach said to me, who's the best golfer in the world? And this was sort of 15 years ago. And at the time it was Tiger Woods. And who's the best tennis player? And at the time it was Roger Federer, I think. And he said, do you think they have coaches? And I said, yeah, they have coaches. And he said, well, how can if they're the best in the world, why do they still need a coach? Laurie and I both have a coach each. Mm-hmm. Because we might be doing things quite well, but we've not arrived. We're constantly in an evolutionary process.
And I think that's the key with Luminate is that we very much, just for complete transparency, one of our core values, and it completely sums us up, is that we are the Osbournes, not the Kardashians.
It's because Laurie's full of Botox, and I've got a heroin addiction, yeah, and Tourette's and a few other things.
But
sorry,
but
be serious. Yeah.
But I think the key is that we're still on the journey, and I think we've probably made every mistake it's possible to make. And
I wish some of them didn't have to be so painful.
Not just one. And how I like to explain it to people that come on the journey with us is it's almost like having somebody that's just that good little bit in front of you when you're walking on the same path to say, watch, there's a hole there. We fell in it. Why don't you go this way? And it's about a journey together, and we're learning and they're learning. And sometimes the coaches learn just as much from the clients. It's a really platonic relationship that's so exciting. And we're not telling people how to do things. We can give advice, and under no illusions that we both have all the answers, but we know what's worked for us and are really open to learning new things and really excited to still be on our own personal growth journey, both as coaches and within the practice.
But one of the most exciting things that Laurie and I have been developing recently is our community. Mm-hmm. We had our group coaching call a couple of days ago, and it was so exciting because we had a number of chiropractors and a student, one student on there, and they were just so excited to hear about other people's perspectives because everybody else is on the journey. We've only got two stories to tell, and progressively they've become interwoven as we've spent more time together. But when you create a community, in that community you've now got 10 stories, 20 stories more of different people, of different brains, and you get that hive mind, just like a beehive, where everybody in that hive, without communicating, knows, the main, knows the purpose, and the queen just goes about her business. We've built this community up, and it's the excitement in the community that is the most exciting bit of our recent part of our journey, because in that there are a lot of other people on journeys making mistakes, and when they make a mistake and they fall through the manhole cover, they're the ones who say, I fell through this manhole cover. And actually, we've learned quite a lot from our community. So, we haven't made all the mistakes yet. I hope some of them have been so bloody painful. I don't want to make them again.
Wait, please.
But just because we are on your podcast, and just because life looks good on the outside, doesn't mean we still don't make mistakes. We make a lot of mistakes,
and we wobble.
And
Well, from the outside, you guys, you're doing absolutely amazing. You're doing amazing. Yeah, what I'm hoping that we'll do is actually get back in touch with you in the future. We've had a very bright and cheerful podcast, and I don't want to end on a dark note. But there's a lot of changes going on with the GCC in the future, and I'll be interested in seeing how we all can move forward with that. And obviously, with you training and with you offering that help and support in the future, you might have some directions of how we can knit our way through this in the future with regard to the GCC and the new regulations, etc.
I'm going to nick it. I'm borrowing it from Tim Young, but just tell the truth, okay? Alan, you and I are in our 50s, right? We're reasonably high mileage vehicles, okay?
Speak for yourself.
She's 31, right? She's a really low mileage vehicle with some mileage.
Yesterday, look at Alan. He's like a Ferrari. You're joking. He's like a vehicle.
No, well, maybe he's wearing better than the rest of us. But just say I come in to see a chiropractor, and I've got back pain, just back pain, something that the GCC is very happy with. All right, that's okay. By the time you had pain, how long has that degradation journey been going on in your body? How long has it been going on? Okay. And the answer is years and years and years and years. Now, I will tell you quite fundamentally that you can be out of pain relatively quickly. A matter of weeks, a couple of weeks, 2, 3, 4, I don't know. It's going to be different for everybody. But how long do you want to invest in rolling back the degradation that's happened over all those years to get you to that point? If the GCC says that we can only sell chiropractic in small bite-sized chunks, that's fine. We'll talk a big story and we'll say, right now, can we just focus on 12 visits? And when we get to the end of that 12, remember that we're only part of that journey. The journey is much longer than that. When we get to the end of that 12, we'll talk about another 12 and another 12 and so on. I don't care how they make us sell a chiropractic. We just got to tell the story, be really truthful about it, and people can buy it in whatever size they want to.
The course that you ran, the Luminate course that you ran down in Abingdon, that was a fantastic course. It was an amazing day. And to spend the time with both of you and learning from your experience was just priceless. So thank you very much for that. And actually, no one would have ever believed it was your first course that you'd run with Luminate. It looked like one of those things that you'd run many, many times before. I want to thank you very much for both coming on to this today.
Hire the right people.
Yeah, hire the right people.
So much for having us. I can help you with that.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. But blessings.
Thank you so much for having us, Alan.
You take care, old friend.